Building a better future. Sustainable futures for our environment. Animals and plants that live in ecosystems in the Gold Coast and the hinterland rely on each other in many ways. They also rely on a healthy environment, and that is largely influenced by humans and human activities. A sustainable future depends upon the choices humans make today. It's about caring for our environment, our economy, tomorrow's children and ourselves without destroying the earth. This sort of future is a lasting one. Therefore, this means that to ensure a future supply of fresh water, we must not take more water than the earth can provide. We must also be careful to protect the quality of the world's fresh water in the long term. Recycling water and developing wise and efficient water use measures are responsible community strategies that are extremely important. Desalination is also a solution that is possible as an option for assisting in the future supply of water for the Gold Coast. In this assignment and excursion, you will be investigating sustainable futures for our nearby environment. This will include aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. You will take a stance on whether humans are caring effectively for our local ecosystems. You will prepare a visual presentation like this one. We live in an extremely beautiful and diverse environment in the Gold Coast and its hinterland. Ecosystems include beaches, as shown here, rainforests, wetlands, rivers and their catchment areas. On this excursion, you will be visiting a range of ecosystems so that you can appreciate the beauty of these ecosystems and look at the effects of human impact. A well-known local ecosystem is that found at Phillip Park on the Southport Spit, as shown here. This area certainly did not always look as it does today. The northern part now has quite dead trees, although the southern part across from SeaWorld is in better shape. This slide shows the southern part, which has the healthier appearance. This is perhaps as a result of the developers and Gold Coast City Council, as well as the SeaWorld owners, trying to create a better appearance of the environment for the tourists. Phillip Park on the Spit hasn't always had trees. After sand mining, shown in this photo, it was sand with no vegetation. This is around 1968. After this, the sand miners did some revegetation of the sand dunes, shown here in around about 1971, and the developers of SeaWorld also did some planting. However, this was not up to the strict requirements of revegetation by mining companies today. There has been a fair amount of community work to try and help the environment at the Spit. For example, this project by Green Corps. New trees have also been planted. The next ecosystem we will visit is the Lake Coombabah wetlands. The mangrove walk shows the fascinating environment which is a breeding ground for fish. This is quite a harsh environment since the mangroves are alternatively covered with water or exposed to the air. In order to cope with this, they have pneumatophores or breathing roots that you can see in this photograph. When the breathing roots are exposed, they absorb oxygen, which is used by the plants when they are again covered with water. This is certainly a rich environment for species such as birds. The birds also live on the lake. There are two species of mangroves in this environment. The second species has prop roots to give them support in this muddy environment. These function like the props used on old buildings when they're being restored. The local council has certainly done a lot to protect this environment. which is part of a network of wetlands that has been built along the coast between the Gold Coast and Moreton Bay. The purpose of this is to preserve the diversity of species in this area, clean up the environment, and control development while maintaining habitats for wildlife. The next ecosystem you will visit is Tamborine Mountain Juala National Park. The rainforest is our most diverse ecosystem of all, and you will notice this on your excursion. Some of the most primitive plants, such as this tree fern, are found here. The trees here are abundant and often very tall. Throughout the rainforest, there are organisms at every level, as shown on these photographs. The river that bears the same name as our college begins in the mountains of the hinterland and empties into Moreton Bay. It is a favourite spot for fishing and water sports, and some of the Gold Coast canal estates are attached to this river. Narrow bands of the vegetation lining the river are still in their natural state, but there are housing and industrial developments along much of the river. It is a great pity that we can observe rubbish along the sides of the river as shown in this photo. What can we do to help return this river to its natural, unpolluted state?